Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe and give this video a like.
Podcast below. Free agency extravaganza right now in the description. Get on it.
I'll tell you what's up, John. Trent Williams re-signed with the 49ers. Adam Schefter reporting that the deal is 6 years, $136 million. $38 million. Sorry, the font was small. But $55.1 million guaranteed. And as we saw David Bakhtiari tweet, $10,000 more a year in average annual value than Bakhtiari. But $55 million guaranteed. I know you tweeted when you went to bed on Tuesday, maybe you're having some of the Tuesday scaries that you were afraid you were going to wake up and Trent Williams was on the Rams. He's not.
I was being semi-sarcastic, but they started doing weird shit like trading players, and they were still over the cap, and I understood all that, but they were making me a little nervous. I had someone with the 49ers shoot me a text, like, cut that bullshit out. Like, kind of being, he was joking, but I was like, listen, I'm joking too, but we have to acknowledge that ultimately, as once upon a time, a wise man said, coffee is for closers. And I think we were getting nervous, not because the Niners have not proven over the years to sign guys that they like, take care of premium players. This one was just, I would say, a little different than a lot of other ones in the NFL for non-quarterbacks, right? It was usually once you make a big offer, the deal gets done. I don't want to say he was milking it, but clearly there was an ego play on his side, right, to hit that number. 23,010, $10,000 more, which I always push back. I think teams don't mind that ego play. I say it all the time. If you talk to people in the teams off the record, they will tell you, do you understand why they never, ever dispute when the agent throws out the funny money? Because they want the player to be happy.
Right. They want the agent to feel good.
They want the agent to feel good. They want the player to feel good. They don't. I think if they could choose, the actual numbers would never come out, right? If the team side, if you gave every GM and every contract negotiator the right to, like, in classified information, like in politics, not even politics, just the world,
right?
They would do that with the contract number. Just let it be out there that he makes $25 million a year and we're paying him fucking $800 million. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because that's not what it is. Like, he's the 136. If this was Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, I'd be like, God, Jimmy's going to make a lot of money. Like, I kind of look at Trent Williams, 2-year deal, 2.5-year deal.
Well, I think, look, you and I talked about it before. Whatever that number is, it's not as if the number came out and we didn't know the guaranteed dollar. Like, it's one thing when 138 floats out there for 3 days and people go, what's the number? What's the number?
Because we might be guessing like, God, did he get 80?
Because you and I were guessing when Papa said 4 for 80s on the table that, okay, if it was 4 for 80 but 60 was guaranteed, fine. Like, whatever. And then it's basically a 3-year, $20 million a year contract. This, I would guess, is better than that. Because in the other part, that guess is an incomplete guess because we're not accounting for the bonus, which you can put all the way at the beginning or put at the end or put at the beginning, but $8 million against the cap this year, whatever, right? That was an oversimplified guess, is my point, but that's the number, and that's what it was going to cost, and that's what the best offensive lineman cost, and we think he's one of the best offensive linemen. We said it before. None of these deals, even the ones that are team friendly, are without risk. As Ronnie Stanley has shown, as David Bakhtiari has shown, those guys are young enough that they'll come back from their injuries and still have years left on their contract, right?
And those teams drafted those players, and they were around.
But this is unique because Kyle has kind of an I drafted him vibe because he likes Trent Williams so much. Then Trent chose to be here last year.
Did draft him.
Yeah.
I think he was their first pick.
So here's to go back to your Tuesday night FOMO, if they didn't sign him, and somebody else gave him this contract, if the Bears or the Chiefs or the Rams, you'd go, the Niners just lost one of their best players. Now you got to rework your whole offensive line. And they
at a position that is borderline impossible to replace, right?
We know you love the guy.
Level.
Yeah, right. You're not. You're going to have to draft the 12th. You're going to have a rookie left tackle now. Which, okay,
maybe just play a season with like random guys, right, rotating through.
Yeah, it would just
ideal.
be you're in a major transition year and you just lost one of your best players. That's what it would be.
We forget this because it was so long ago, and the way just I think we think, and I notice this all the time. Like sometimes major things happen, with a team in sports. It happens like this in society, but definitely in sports. And then years pass, and you just completely forget. You remember when Anthony Davis, suddenly retired?
Yeah.
And the Niners found themselves, and at the time, Anthony Davis was, I think, pretty consistently viewed as like a top 3 or 4, definitely right tackle in the league. And the Niners were fucked. I don't remember the exact timing, but I remember it being pretty late. And they had to play Jonathan Martin from, the Miami Dolphins, who was a terrible football player. And who Kaepernick was a quarterback then and almost got him killed like every game. He could not block. He had no chance. Zero. It was as ugly as you think it was. I bet if you went back and watched some of the highlights, you'd be like, oh my God, it was crazy. And you can find yourself in similar situations. Now, I think Kyle, they'd have more time. They could patchwork it together. They've proven they can. But when you get an elite player at a premium position, there was definitely not urgency is the wrong word. There was probably just a paranoia about like what would happen if we lose this guy. Even if on the whiteboard, in John's office, in Kyle's office, with the O-line coach, they have their different options. Because anytime a guy hits free agency, anytime a guy, you don't have the opportunity to tag him, I think everything's on the table. But I would imagine if you're around Kyle, John, Parag, just the building, the offensive line coaches, the offensive coaches, it probably wasn't like a lot of smiles the last couple of days, It was just a point in time in any office when there is a serious deal to be closed and you don't know if you're going to get it, and it feels like it could, I wouldn't say make or break your company, but it has a huge impact on what you do. And the coaches, right, and the GM, the coaches definitely, John cares. Do you think they care about bonus money and all that? Just like, we just need Trent Williams. Just keep us Trent Williams. And ultimately, Parag figure this shit out as he usually does.
Yeah. I think if I told you on Sunday that they signed this contract on Sunday, you'd go, okay, right? If I said this is the contract that got signed Sunday, $55 million guaranteed, would you?
Yeah, we've been talking over and over. We thought 60 to 65. So yeah, if I'd say 55, you take that all day.
And then, like to your point on people walking on eggshells for 48 hours, I've got a free agency saying, John, the longer it takes, the more he makes. Right? If I was an agent, that'd be my slogan. The longer it takes, the more we make. And so it's like
for good players.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Average players
that's
is
right.
the opposite.
I know.
The
it
more
works
he makes,
sometimes.
the less he takes.
Well, that's what I would tell my guy when he calls me and he's like, I've seen all these other guys getting signed. Why aren't I getting signed? I'd be like, the longer it takes, the more we make.
But
make
a little movie about that.
Yeah, but and so that's the other part of it is it didn't. This is a good contract for him. Clearly, it's a top of the market contract for him. But it didn't feel like you got to free agency and he hit the market for real, and then things got really weird, right? It feels like you paid a top-of-the-line player a top-of-the-line salary. And here's the other thing. On the list of guys that if I said, make a list of who you think Kyle Shanahan trusts the most, like who is just a Kyle guy, right? There are several players on this team that are on this list, but this guy would be in tier 1 with Fred Warner and George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk and Deebo Samuel, right? He'd be in tier 1.
Yeah.
So you're not just letting a guy go, a good player go. You're letting a guy who represents kind of the core of what your coach believes in go. So, and again, and this goes back to what Kawakami wrote the other day. This is a rich team. I think there are two things you want opposing fan bases to say about your team. One, I wish we had their quarterback. And two, how do they have all this cap space? How do they have this money? Now with the Niners, we know how this fits in the cap, but that's.
Yeah, I just go back to what Axe said in Billions. What's the point of having fuck you money if you never say fuck you? And I think the Rams consistently do that. I think Robert Kraft did that. Jeffrey Lurie has done that before with obviously Carson Wentz. It doesn't mean it always works.
Chiefs have done it, and as time plays out, usually in the NFL, it turns out that it wasn't even FU money to begin with.
Yeah, it's just normal money. It's just NFL money.
Yeah, it's just somebody's in charge of the cap, and they know how to work it.
And I think clearly there's a line of delineation between some of these old school teams that aren't comfortable doing that, even if they have the money. You can go from $10 to $100,000 in your checking account. It doesn't mean like you have to write a $10,000 check. Some people aren't going to be comfortable doing that, even when they have the money, just because they've never done that. Right. It doesn't mean they don't have the money. And I feel good about the Niners. Just fucking operate like a big boy franchise, and this was a big boy move.